factor. Um, those of you who have sixes in your chart, it's not easy your first 30 years of life.
That
And
part that was like, oh my God. When Ange broke it down, like that there's phases of our life from 0 to 29, like if you only knew.
it's
She has a
it's
wild ride, like Yano, all the things real hard, real deep. So
yeah. I'm a 6'3" myself, Jessica, and it was one of the most freeing things to see that there's not something wrong with me, and how hard the first 30 years of my life were, and how many times I changed my mind about my career or the schooling I was going to, because I had become really hard on myself. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I figure life out? And why is everything so hard? It feels like I am like trudging through quicksand, instead of seeing how other people were able to be so much more in flow or successful with things early on, and realizing that you get kind of a break. You don't really ever get a break as a 6'3", because you're threeing still. You're still trialing and erroring, even when you are in your break time in that second phase of being a 6. But it's just so powerful to be seen, and then to see others through the lens of human design, and have so much grace and compassion for, like, oh, you're not like me and I'm not like you, and that is okay. We don't have to try to force each other to be the same or fit in the same box. And instead, if we play on those differences and we see that we're all meant to fit together like puzzle pieces, we're not meant to one person do it all, but to lean on others in the spaces that they have strengths where we don't carry those strengths. And instead of getting pissed we don't have those, just say like, isn't that so nice to connect in with Anj, who brings me more information and makes my deep desire to know all the things easier, because she flows this information to me instead of me sifting through the internet. Or just as an example, I'm excited to have you guys here today and explore this more with you.
It really felt like for my husband and I, like it was a breakthrough. Like it was going to be a breakthrough in our marriage, and it was going to be a breakthrough. And we have 4 daughters, all teenagers from 12 to 18. And so just, and they're, everybody's different, like you're saying. And to be able to see in a way, and like you say, be seen, and for all of us to kind of be learning that together is just like, I feel like it's going to be something that kind of works wonders in our life.
Yeah, I think that this should be something that we're learning at a very early age, that we live and breathe this, because family dynamics, work dynamics, any type of interplay with another person, this is life changing. And bringing this into my relationship with my husband, and then bringing this into helping to show up for our kids to be the parents that they individually need, and parent them in the individual ways that they need, is life changing, and also so deeply supportive, because like being a parent is super hard. And you're like in the thick of it with 4 teenagers, but all of these different stages, if we were given this is literally like the blueprint, the rule book we should have all been given with our kids. We should have had one given with us to our parents. It just makes it so that we are able to support each other so much more efficiently, and not from a space of my way or the highway, and understanding that your way may be very different than what the child needs or your partner needs. And yeah, I could go on and on about the dynamics that changed in my marriage, in my relationship, in my parenting, because of human design. And I think it's very powerful to utilize it with everybody that you meet, just like Anj did for you. Anj and I are both these people who are like, hi, I can't talk to you for more than 5 minutes without knowing your human design number. Like, you gotta tell me what it is, and then we'll keep talking, because it's so important. Yeah.
I love
Sarah
it.
asked what what do you do if you don't know your birth time? So I just want to answer that really quick. Your human design is precise. And so you need to know your birth time in order to have a precise chart. So for those people who don't know an exact time of birth, you should begin a quest to discover this information, whether you're reaching out to like the records place in the area that you were born to find if it's on your birth time. If you cannot, there are softwares. I have a software, and Sarah, I'm happy to put what you think your birth time is, a general idea of it, into the software, and it will let us know if you're born on a day where the information shifts a lot, or you're born on a day where no matter really what time you're born, it's all pretty much the same. So, if it's your son, then maybe you can recall the time of day at least that he was born. Oh, he's adopted. Okay. So I've had a family that I've worked with through adoption as well. And we have, because he was born in Romania, records aren't kept the same way. There was literally no possibility of finding the birth time. And we're hopeful that the birth day is right. If you really don't have any of this information, then it's not very easy at all to do human design. So what I would say to do, if you do know the day, okay, so we'll put in the system and we'll just see that day and how it varies, whether you need to know the exact time or it doesn't matter that much. And then what I do is I muscle test to get as close as I can to that actual time and utilize that, knowing with, a caveat that we can't know exactly if this is their perfect design, but things like the energy type, the profile type, if the software says that it isn't a super sensitive day, we can be pretty sure that that information is correct.
Thank you for that. I had that question for someone else. I was like, it would help to at least know ask your parents if it was morning or afternoon, because like Robyn is saying, some days the design doesn't change in the day, but some days it's like you're a projector if you were born in the morning and you're a generator if you were born in the evening. It's very different information. I was going to quickly share for Sarah, because she is a 6 and I don't know if you know the 3 phases that are just unique to the 6s. Okay. So the 6 is here to be a role model for humanity. So that plus you being a projector is very much the design of you. And the 6s are the only ones who have this kind of unique layout of their life, if you will, that it's broken down into 3 phases. And so from 0 to almost 29, you are experimenting. You're just like trial and error, a bunch of things. And then from 29 to 50, it's called being on the roof. And you've learned some things from, let's say you tried 50 things. You've learned some things. You've kind of gotten into this place. You don't have the same energy or desire to do all the crazy things or like all that exploration. You're getting clear, but you're still in this time where you're not fully ripe, if you will. And it can be very hard in this time to be in partnerships because you're here to be a role model. And so you're destined for something, and you internally are like seeking to understand that, to find clarity of what that is, because you are driven in a way that's very unique to a 6 line. And then when you hit 50, it's kind of like you've landed. You're clear, you know how you're here to be, and you're just like ready to deliver and kind of live out this fate or destiny that you came here to share with the world. What else do you want to add, Robyn?
Yeah, so when we get to be around 30, when your Saturn return happens. So for some people that's like 28, 29, 30. They're coming from your first phase of life and going on the roof is not gentle. For most of us, there's some big hard thing that happened in that transition. For us, coming on the roof in our time that we get to, I don't think it's necessarily rest. It's to integrate and embody all of the lessons that you learned in those first 30 years while continuing to get more and more lessons as you go. When you're on the roof, so for that first 30 years of your life, your 6 functions like a 3. So the 3 is all about trial and error. They literally cannot figure things out without getting their hands in it. There's no sitting back and trying to perfect things from like the mind. They have to go put their hands in it and do it. Like throw spaghetti at the wall until they figure out the exact equation of getting the spaghetti to land on the wall. And that takes a lot of scraping your knees, getting black eyes, seemingly making mistakes, but there are no mistakes for the 3. It's all lessons and it's all part of your design. So for the 6-3, your first 30 years are intense because you're 3-3. You're like, you can't do anything without trialing and erroring. So when you come on the roof, that 3 shifts into being more like a 5-2. And I'm trying to be slow with all this because I know this is like weird language, right? So Sarah, when you're on the roof now in this period, you're acting as a 5 with lots of 2-ness to you. The 2 is the hermit. Sure, it means what you think when you hear hermit, of wanting to like go by yourself and away from things. But it's more about when you do that, when you take the time to be in yourself, your genius really shines here. You'll get your biggest downloads, your biggest knowings, your biggest growth will come from going within. So during this phase, you might have felt like you went from having more energy to like do things with people and be a part of things. And now on the roof, you're really like being called more to do the inner work and to not do so much on the outside. That 5, for all of you who are 6s, when you're, baby, please don't touch the computer like that. When you're on your roof time, that 5 is challenging in a different way than the 6, because now you're in the projection field all the time. And you're either being projected on positively or negatively, and you act as a mirror to everyone around you. Differently than when you hear, oh, we're all each other's mirrors and that. This is very deeply personal to you and something that is helping you to like grow this rod up your spine of who you are and hold neutrality, so that when you come off the roof and you get to grow into your 6, you are so sure of yourself and can hold the neutrality no matter what reflections are brought to you, no matter what somebody tells you about something that you're growing into. So when you come off the roof with your Chiron return around 50, you will also be challenged, just like you were when you got onto the roof. But if you have spent those 20 years really integrating and embodying the lessons and not just ignoring them, truly trying to evolve yourself to the next level, it won't phase you as much when you come off the roof. It'll kind of be like oh, there it is, challenge accepted moment. And here I am fully transitioning into my 6. And then when you're in that 6, this is when you truly grow into being the role model. And this is effortless and easy if you've taken the time to embody and integrate your lessons, because being a 6 is you aren't really doing anything but just being you. And if you followed that thing that lights you up, that thing that makes you passionate, people are just watching you and you're leading them and guiding them from a space of just being you, which is effortless and easeful. That's what I wanted to add.
Thanks, Robyn.
I wanted to add something too, since Sarah is a 6 with me. One of the thing, and I don't know, it made sense for me. When they talk about needing to be alone and having that space, I know sometimes I have to leave. I have to like go and retreat, whether it's this book that Anj and I are working on our chapter, or whether it's just emotions or whatever, I literally have to get in my car and go for my own little solo journeys to get space for myself. And sometimes, you know, growing up, whether it be my mom, my husband, or whoever, why are you always leaving? Why are you always leaving? And I just like, I just felt like a gypsy for a long time. Like I just like couldn't stay. Like I had to be going. So I don't know. I just thought maybe if you were anything like that, maybe that would help you in some of the ways you may act.
Oh, totally. I am constantly like, I just need alone time. I just need alone time. And, you know, I mean, like for years, I would try to get up early in the mornings to have my alone time, and my kid could sense it, and he was up with me. And it was maddening because I needed it so badly. And I never did, I think what I admire about you and what I didn't do, I didn't always just leave. You know, I took a deep breath, I sucked it up, and here we are. And so I think I literally am either today or tomorrow quitting my job. I'm in sales. So guys, like everything you're describing to me, it's my nightmare, right? And I've been doing this for a long, long time. And I can't anymore. And there are lots of other things contributing to it, but it's like all of this. Oops, I think I may have froze. But everything that you all are talking about, I need time to be able to recoup and recover and have a long time. So thank you for saying that. I totally get that.
Yeah. And Sarah, remember you're a projector, which deeply needs that rest, and you're a hermit. You're the two. It's like double, it's compounded. So just like Jessica was saying, if your husband's curious and you want to figure out what his details and stuff are, it can be really beneficial because it helps understand. Another thing that we didn't say about the projectors, which is really important to know, is that you wait for an invitation. So because you have this eagle view and you can see things so clearly, and because you're here for humanity, somewhere along the line, like you have tried to cut in and people don't respond. So then you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good because no one is going to listen if they're not asking me for my opinion. But what can happen a lot of times to projectors is everyone's like, God, this projector friend of mine is such a good listener. I could just talk for hours because they're not saying anything. And it's because you're waiting for an invitation. So it can be really powerful for your husband to know this about you, especially if he's something different. And I know Robyn has shared too, and I've shared this with my friend Kathy, projectors, not only, Jessica, need to leave the house and take that alone time, it can also be really beneficial for you to sleep alone. Because if your husbands are, which I know Jessica's is, a generator or have that energy, that sacral energy, it can deplete you. And Robyn, if you want to share on that, you can.
I was just
And then we'll
answering
get to you, Samar. I'm going to grab water quickly.
share on, what did she just say? About the projector generator dynamic?
Yeah, with sleeping, with
Oh, yeah. So this is something that's really changed in the dynamic of my marriage. So I'm married to a 6'2" projector. And one of the things that we played with human design. So I like to look at human design as just like a big playground. And there's just so many things that you can try in life to see if it helps you to feel better in your existence, in your relationships with people. So when we learned about human design and how different the projector's aura is compared to the generators. So whether you're a manifesting generator or a generator, you have an aura that is enormous, envelops and can envelop the entire universe if you're lit up. And even if you're just sitting in your regularness, your aura is all encompassing, where a projector's aura is focused. It's like a funnel right into one person at a time. That's the best way to function as a projector. Is think of yourself as you are very focused energy, able to look right into that person, which can be wonderful if that person wants to be plugged into, but it also can be extremely off-putting if you're not invited in to do that. And that kind of playing with what Angela was saying of waiting for the recognition and invitation, so that you don't feel yuck when somebody is like, oh, like, I didn't ask you for that information, or like, why did you say it like that? Instead, sharing your beautiful projector insights with people when you are recognized and invited. For example, I see that you are an amazing mom. Will you share with me how you keep yourself above it all? So a recognition and an invitation, and then that's your invitation to say like, oh, they want my energy to plug in with them, and now I can flow all of this. I have so much to say about this, and they'll receive it in such a more impactful way than if you're just forcing that knowledge because you have it. So with that in mind about the auras, when you have a projector, they don't do very well sleeping in the field, the auric field of generators all the time, because it doesn't matter if we're sleeping, our auras will encompass the bed at least. And so they're constantly in that field and not really ever feeling like alone in themselves. So one of the things that's suggested for projectors is to have time away from the generator field. So if you're a projector, you need time away from everyone. And you especially need time away from those that are sacral beings, and those are the generator types. You just need that time to clear your filters, clear your open centers, and to not have so much energy coming in. So if you have a partnership like I do, where my husband is a projector, and not only am I a generator, but so are our 3 children, and we co-sleep, and they're all in the room with us. So it gets like he doesn't get the rest that he needs. And if we have him continuously up in the room with us, he just doesn't feel as good himself. So we thought like, let's play with this more. And instead of just having some nights where you hit your breaking point and you go to the guest bedroom, let's see how it works for you to help me get everybody to sleep, stays with us for a couple of hours, and then he moves down to the guest bedroom and sleeps outside of our field, at least as far away as he can get from us, because I'm sure our field is still, he's like right under us. So I'm sure he's still in it somewhat. And it's really changed how he feels in his body, like rested the next day, which is important for me, it was also really hard. Like, it's really hard to think about my partner sleeping in another room. Like, what does that mean in society if my partner isn't sleeping in my bed with me? And I had a hard time with it at first of like, does this mean something other than this experiment that we're having? And to really be able to, as a generator, provide that for my projector husband, who deserves to have that break and not take it personally, that it has nothing to do with like me. It's just all of our energy is a lot, and he doesn't get to rest the same way that I'm resting. So for him to show up as the best partner for me, getting that rest is important. And then encouraging him and understanding more why he needs alone time has also been life-changing for me, because I want alone time for different reasons, but I don't feel this thing as much, especially we've been together for almost 17 years or 16 years. Now I'm getting confused with how long Angela's been with her husband and I've been with mine. So we've been together for a really long time. So we were together before we turned 30 and we both went on the roof. And so now I don't care so much about the alone time because I'm also craving it as well. But in understanding that it had nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me, the alone time that he needs. It is all about what he needs to function best. So it's allowed me to have this grace and compassion for him of like, oh, no, we need to make sure you have this time. And I need to help you as a parent, make sure you have this time so you can show up as best as you can for our family, for me. And it's been life-changing for all of us. And especially me, like not just like feeling bad about the differences that we had, and instead seeing like, oh, this is just this unique difference of how our energy flows and not actually about me. It's been life-changing for our relationship. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks, Robyn. Samar, you've had your hand up patiently. You wanna jump in?
I love your sharing about experimenting with relationship and just reflect on it every then and while. That's super interesting. My question probably got answered, but just want to make sure I got it. You mentioned about 1-3 had this like phase of their life they want to experiment everything and try different things as they have the investigator sort of attitude in life, and then at some point this transition to something else, or is this like a life pattern that gonna keep going on and on?
So the 6s are the ones that have the phases. They're the only one that have that different time period. The 1-3, which you, Luisa Fernanda, myself, and Phoebe have, is more, it's ongoing. And so, right, Robyn?
Mhm.
Yeah. So the 1 profile part is the investigator, and that means that we have to, when we find something that lights us up, we want to dive full in. We want to know everything about it. We're going to keep researching it, just like you've done with AI, Samar. We get so excited and we just really want to understand it. We are seeking the truth of it. So that's ongoing. And then our 3 line is the experimenter. So this has been really great for me to learn, because for most of my adult life, I was like, okay, yoga, now nutrition, now Reiki, and it felt frustrating because I'm like, why can't I just pick one thing to be interested in? But it's that combination of, I'm super passionate about it. I want to dive deep and learn it. And I need to experiment. Like, is this going to be the career? I don't know. Wait, is this one going to be it? I don't know. Is this one? And it's finally like 8-10 modalities later and landing in Healy, where I'm like, oh, it's all of it. I don't have to pick one, but I had to have the lived experience of everything. I had to dive deep into the things that were lighting me up. You're a manifesting generator, Samar, too. So we have sacral energy and we have to be lit up. So if I was doing yoga, someone asked me recently, like, oh, why don't you do yoga anymore? And I'm like, because it doesn't light me up. I can do yoga. I can have my own practice if and when I choose, but to teach it does not fuel me. I want to do something different with people. So it's really important for us who have the 3 line, to understand we're always going to be experimenting. Like, we don't make mistakes. We cannot have, even if Sam or someone's like, hey, AI is not going to work out for you. You really should go into this. You're going to say, okay, thank you. And you're going to keep going with AI for as long as it lights you up, because you have to do that. That's how your design is fueled. You have to be experimenting with it, and you find it, whatever it is that lights you up, and you stay plugged into that until it doesn't. And then you find something else and you experiment with that. Robyn, you want to add?
Yeah. So I want to add too that when you have a 3 in your design and you are a generator type, you are meant to, like Anj said, follow what is feeling like a fuck yes in your body. And so you have emotional authority. So you'll feel this in your gut area, this fuck yes feeling. You'll also be brought on your emotional wave to really, really feel through it. But there will be this fuck yes, yes, or no, and variations of no. And everything that's not that fuck yes should be a no. This is one of those experiments that you can play with the universe and use human design like a playground. Okay, like that seemed really scary to me at first, to say like I'm gonna say no to everything that doesn't make me go ooh yes. So it took me a while to really implement that, and sometimes I still get tangled up and I'm like, oh crap, I said yes to a no. And I can now quickly identify that and then say like, okay, never mind. And you know what? To the world, that some people, that might look like I'm being flaky. It might look like I'm wishy-washy or change my mind all the time, but I don't care anymore what other people are perceiving, because I know I'm in alignment. So Another thing, like you might be lit the fuck up to do some type of, I don't know, call that you said yes to. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be every Monday. I'm doing these calls. This is amazing. And then 3 months later, you might find that you're dreading getting on the calls, that you're just like hating Mondays. So it's over. Like you trialed and errored through it and it's not a yes anymore. So you let go of it. And when you let go of the things that are not lighting you up, you will receive through that big aura, you will receive so many more things that will come through for you to respond to. And then if you play with this more and you really start only responding to the things that light you up, you just wait and you watch how fast you can magnetize in so many more yeses. So that's what I want to say. Yeah, about the 3, and to like have fun with it. I still find myself like making excuses. I've just recently started doing like calls with a bigger community. And when I go to introduce myself, I'm like, because I literally have, and I have all these degrees under my name. I have all these certificates under my name. I'm like, all these things that I still want to find a way to express my multifaceted amazingness of all of these modalities, but not have to spend 20 minutes reading them off, but be fucking proud of the fact that I am a human being who has learned so much through my trial and error process. And there might be some things like tools that I've gathered that I'm like, why am I not using that? I put it up on a shelf, but know that eventually it came to me for a reason. It was a yes for a reason. Eventually I'll bring it back down on the shelf to have this like arsenal behind me of all of this wisdom that I've gained from trialing and erroring these things, but also knowing that there have been some things that were deeply hard for me to let go of, like being a nurse and going through nursing school and realizing that that was a fuck no. And like, oh my God, I just spent all this money going through school and all this time going through school. And everyone around me and my family is like, shame on you for not being a nurse now. Like, F you. I mean, like literally my family spun out. And I didn't know human design at this time. And I didn't know why I was changing my path, except for like, it was literally making my entire physical body sick to stay in that field. Like my whole body was like crumbling in on me. And the relief I felt when I left, I was like, okay, I don't know what this is about. I don't know who I am if I'm not a nurse, but I know that it feels so much better to not be there, even though this in between is also hard. And if we don't have the courage to let, as 3s or 6s who are acting in their 3 stage, if we don't have the courage to let go of those no's, then you'll never fully step into alignment. Okay. That's what came through.
It sounds, oh, I don't know. I went to talk and then all the volume went away. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I hear you.
It just sounds so familiar, and I love it when the connections are made, because growing up in my family, my stepdad, well, he is now the Supreme Court judge for Onondaga County, for where we live in New York. And he wanted, like, there was the golden children of the family, as we would say. And then there was me, the black sheep, who could never have hold down a full-time job and was never good enough and nobody could understand, and tried everything, experimented. And now finally I'm at heading into in the beginning of the 2nd stage of where now my family, who've always questioned me and thought I wasn't going to end up anywhere fast, is now, like you say, I'm somehow the role model in the family. And everyone's not trying to toot my own horn, but it's quite a feeling when you go from everyone's to you in the family, and then all of a sudden you're just in this other place. And it's so empowering. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. You should toot your horn loudly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you've stuck through. It is so hard. And I think a lot of people can, I can. And I feel like that happened when I landed in Healy. I was like, oh my God, all these people have felt like the black sheep and we're like uniting and finally finding each other. Or with 333, all these communities where we're just showing up authentically, you know? Something I wanted to add that I was thinking when Robyn was sharing about Sammer was something that's applicable to everybody on your human design chart is your strategy. And I was just sharing human design with someone this morning. So for the generator and manifesting generator, our strategy is to respond. And when we are feeling in alignment, we feel really satisfied. Satisfied is our word. And when we're not in alignment, we feel frustrated. For the projectors, your strategy is waiting for that invitation. When you are in alignment, you feel successful. When you are not in alignment, you start to feel bitter. And I'm sharing these words because for the man, gen, and generators, when you start to feel frustrated, that is a warning sign to you. Projectors, when you start to feel bitter, it's a warning sign for you to pause and be like, hold up, something's not working out here. I just got the signal, bitterness, frustration. Let me listen and see what needs to change.
Or that you need to rest.
Or that you need to rest. Yeah.
Rest. Yeah.
Yeah. So really knowing that part of your design, knowing that word, and it's amazing. Like I have just recently trained myself to say to my family, like, I'm getting really frustrated. And then it gives me a moment. I'm like, oh, wait, yeah. So what needs to change? And so there's just an invitation, whatever anyone's design is, we have different words. And it's actually fascinating to me since I've learned human design. My projector friends will talk when they're saying something, they talk about success. And I never use that word. It just doesn't ever flow out of me. I don't think that way. So it's really cool just to understand these subtle differences in us and what are our warning signs or when we're really like feeling in alignment and what that looks like or feels like.
Yeah. And to know too that some of these words might not be how you describe your not self. Like when I first heard generators are frustrated, I was like, I don't get frustrated. I get stuck all the time. So I would call that's what I identified throughout my life. My frustration is like I get stuck. I'm like stuck here. I can't see my way out of it. I can't work my way out of it, which is, you know, like another word that you could use for frustration. So for those of you who are like, maybe you're a manifester and you're like, I'm not angry. I don't get angry. Well, maybe you call and identify that emotion, something different. Maybe, you know, you don't think that you get bitter if you're a projector. I kind of like laugh at this one a little bit because you guys get bitter and you guys get into this space where I'm like, oh, I don't do that. Like, I don't ruminate the way that a projector will just get so bitter and chew on something over and over and over. But I do that in my own form with frustration. So I just wanted to say like the nuances of words, or like I think it was Jessica sharing the quantum human design language of the energy types. I don't know. I don't have them memorized. There's a woman named Karen Curry Parker who learned from Ra. Ra is the gentleman who brought us human design, and she did not like the gruffness of the language that he was given because this is channeled information. So she changed the language of human design to make it lighter. And that's fine if you resonate with how Karen Curry Parker has shifted the language there. But it is really powerful to know source information about this. So I encourage any of you who have like dove into human design and you've started with Karen Curry Parker, any of her books, that you start to look at Ra's interpretation of it, because just like the telephone game that we all played when we were little, by the time that it's coming out of her, a lot of it is very different than what was channeled through the original bringer of this information. And it doesn't mean that like her stuff isn't right. But specifically for a 6-3, Jessica, it'd be very powerful for you to learn from source. or any of you that have threes to learn from source information, and then add in other stuff that comes from outside. Like you're hearing, I'm not source, you're hearing from me, and that's outside of it, but that foundation. And maybe even those of you that are the 1-3s and need to gather that information, listening to Ra is extremely powerful, especially as like who he is in design. He's an ego manifester. And so this is in part why the information came out in a very masculine, in a very gruff kind of way, because he's just like, I am here on a mission. I'm here to literally pave this new path for you guys. I'm not here to fluff things up and make you feel better. Human design isn't here to like be gentle. Human design is here to crack you wide open, for you to see all the places that you are conditioned, that you believe that you're somebody that you're not, and to let that go so that you can step into who you are here to be. And it happens faster through the lens that he's given us than like the gentle, soft quantumness that Karen Curry Parker put into place, in my personal opinion.
Thank you.
I don't know if I don't know where I was starting with that.
We
transmission.
followed.
I'd like to just touch on it because I wanted when the wording of it, my husband, when he's in his when he's not in his best moments and in alignment with himself, he is the frustration, right?
Mhm.
And that comes out. He's also got PTSD, and there's layers to it. But it was so funny because when we were sitting down reading the human design things, and he got into it, like he was going down to links that even showed even more than what and like diving into it, and he was like, oh my God, this is like a counseling session, like, and it did, though. That's what I mean when it made the breakthroughs. That boldness of wording, sometimes we got to hear that. Sometimes we got to look at ourselves. And sometimes when it's coming from it's like, oh, especially when it's not the husband or the wife that's telling each other, oh, well, you're so frustrated. It's coming from another, like you say, another source. So it's, you know what I mean? It's not like name calling or something, but it really, I think it's healthy. And I just thought it was funny because he really did thought he got out of the counseling session after that.
I love it.
Angela had asked, like, where do we hear this source information from Ra? And unfortunately, Ra has passed away, and passed away before a book that he was working on was completed. So I can't remember her name. There's a woman that he was like, you're the person who's going to take over stuff, be right underneath me, be writing this book with me. And there's only one actual published book that is anything close to source information from Ra. When I'm done talking, I'll go grab that book so that you guys can see what that one's called. It's expensive, and it is not easy to understand from like the sense that it's very source information. So I would say that this book is for those of you who just know in your being that this is something big in your life, human design, and you really need to know the system. For those of you who feel like, this is fun and I want to play with this, but like, I don't really care about all of the nuanced details, I wouldn't waste your money on this book. And instead, YouTube has tons of original videos of Ra. There's also, I'm just gonna write myself a note. So YouTube has tons of videos that you can watch of Ra, and he did a lot of just spoken stuff. So he comes from the generation of like Ram Dass time, where you like go around the world and you teach. There wasn't like internet classes and stuff in the beginning. So even the source material, when you go to the place that Ra had his website where he taught this information in courses, it's all like the ebooks are literally just his voice transmission. Like somebody just took the transcript and put it into written form, because the way he flows this information was constantly connected to the voice that he called it, that was providing him this information and flowing it through him. So it came out better to be in this voice form. And there's a website or an app called Scribd or something like that. I'll also share this with Anj so she can share it with you guys. It's like a platform where people have uploaded books and PDFs and things like that. And you can get 3 things free every month or pay for the subscription. There's a ton of source books from his courses that are on Scrib as well, or Scribd. And then his old cameraman has the rights to most of the videos that he taught in that video form. So I'll also share not only his website where you can get some of the source information, but also he's pretty close to source how he shares himself, and he's still alive and still sharing, and has like a big YouTube page that where you can learn a lot of information. And then there's a girl on Instagram that I follow, and I don't know if I'm still listed up there as like a reader on her page, because it's been a really long time since we talked last. But if you go to her Instagram page, she just shares clips of raw, like source information, and her whole page is raw source information. Like you wouldn't even know that a girl from Germany is behind the page.
What's her name, Robyn?
I don't know right now, so I'll find it and share it with you.
Okay. While you're doing all those things, thank you. You guys, Robyn, one of her geniuses is like, oh, you want to know? Boop, out of her magic hat. Choop. She just pulls resources like no other. So we are blessed. Okay. Jessica asked about getting clarity on the inner authority. So I can share a little bit. I don't know all of them. Sarah, you said you're splenic, right? Do you know everyone else's, Jessica, from your crew? Do you want to write those? But splenic is an intuitive feeling. I don't know where in your body you feel the splenic one, but it's more intuitive than like a sacral gut yes feeling. Oh, Robyn's adding things.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want me to?
I would
share?
like you to chime in. Yeah.
Yeah. So where the generator types have this very primal yes, no feeling in their guts, it's very primitive. Even in baby generators, they'll make a sound. When you have the splenic intuition, what's up, baby? Go get a napkin. Go get a napkin. The splenics, this is a download. So your inner authority comes through what feels like a download into your body, what feels like a knowing, and there isn't logic behind it. With a caveat that if you're a generator who also has your spleen defined, you know what I'm talking about. You will have also felt this. You kind of have like your 2 authorities going off. So sometimes you'll just get a no, and there will be no information of like the why behind it. So when you have splenic authority, it like drops into you. You just know things and you just do. So it might be like an example, you're going to buy a house and you've put the offer on this house and everything was fine. And you go to like put the deposit down and you suddenly get this horrible feeling of like, just like, no, this is not the house. And your husband is like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? We just went through all this. We paid for the inspection and now you're wanting to pull out and you have no logical reason why. You just feel a no. It can be frustrating to those around you because of how your inner authority works. But then you find out that there was a page missing on the inspection. And on that page, you found out that there's like black mold, like deeply embedded in this entire property. And you find that out like 3 months later or something. And you're like, there you go. There was your logical reason. But if you hadn't acted on that feeling in your body, that knowing that you got, you would have ended up with a house that is now unlivable. So for those with this splenic authority, sometimes these downloads are so big they're part of your life mission, that it can take you years to find all the pieces that make that knowing make sense. Other times it is drops in and it's something just like this feeling of like, don't turn left, even though you turn left to go to work every day. And so you just are like, yeah, okay, like I'm just gonna go straight and get on the freeway. And even though that's gonna add 10 minutes onto my thing, and then you find out later that day that there was a fatal car accident to the left. So it feels like intuition-y in the sense that we've all been told what intuition is. This is how your authority flows through. We're kind of told all of the ways that these authorities work, like as if one person has them all. Like we've all been told, like, follow your gut. But if you're not a generator, that isn't your thing. You're never going to feel your gut in that way. It won't ever land the same way that like your inner authority will. So while we all have access to our intuition, this is how you're meant to make your decisions. Your authority is how you're meant to make decisions in life. And this is extremely important. You cannot be in alignment if you're not following your strategy and authority in human design.
Beautiful. And then Sammer has emotional. Jessica, you had said emotional, but I think you're looking up and figuring out. But emotional authority is, I call it my little roller coaster ride. And it's not big, but I have this little, like the kiddie roller coasters where you have a feeling about something. You're like, yeah, I think so. But you need to go through the like, well, maybe, I don't know. Yes. And do your little ride. And usually I find, at least, like I end up at the same place that I did before, but I just need, what is it, like 3 to 5 days generally that we do well, not making a decision, but giving ourselves space and time before committing to something. And then I believe this is also the one that has the 3 types, the tick, tick, boom.
Yeah. So the emotional authority is like the most complex of the authorities. And that's because of like the variation of how it can show up. And it is a mutation in human design. And like mutation in the sense of like evolution of moving us forward, not mutation like, oh, mutant. On the other side of like, it's like a beautiful mutation of human design. More people are going to be being born into having emotional authority because we need you guys to deeply move through all of the layers of emotion that humans can experience to make the most aligned decisions. And so there are 3 different types of waves. And which wave do you have? Do you have the tick, tick, boom?
No, I have the other 2, the disappointment and the melancholy.
Yeah. So let's talk about the melancholy one first. So the melancholy wave, I like to think of melancholy as a person, as a being. And when you have the melancholy wave in human design, you are brought, this is like the deepest of the waves. You are brought into the depths of the human experience through the emotions. And we all grew up in a world that says like, if you're sad, you feel down, you're feeling that melancholy, like you have to do something about it. Take a pill, go for a walk, do an exercise, like stop feeling melancholy. Don't sit there. Don't feel that. Like there's something wrong with you. Instead, she is like this wise woman who needs you to sit in the depths of the feelings with her because she has so much wisdom to give you about whatever decision you are being moved through. So if we look at all of the types of emotional authority instead of waves, you can look at them as waves if you want to, but since you're all, except Sommer here, women who will understand this on a different level than what Ra could as a man who channeled this, these are emotional contractions. And just like with a contraction that births a baby from your body, these emotional contractions are birthing the next level of yourself on the other side of this. So if you were just going to say like, well, I'm not in labor, not having this baby, just ignoring this, just gonna, the whole process would be very different. It would be it wouldn't be as smooth, it wouldn't be as beautiful of a process of birth if you were fighting every aspect of being in the birth portal. So if you think of these emotional waves as contractions that are literally moving you through this portal to the other side of yourself, on the other side of this decision, then it makes more sense as to why you have to feel so much through it. So the melancholy wave can last for a really long time. She can also be shorter, but she can last for weeks, months, years, especially if you're not sitting with the wisdom that you're supposed to get to make this decision. So it can be the heaviest of the waves because of that. Then we have the disappointment wave. I like to give the analogy of how this one starts through the lens of a child. So if you have this kind of wave, then it's really important that you learn to sit in a space of wonder and not feel like things are set in stone ever. Because if things shift, it will drop you from the top of your wave, like everything's cool, great, to like, boom, you're at the bottom of the emotional scale. So for example, if you're a little kid and your parents are talking about going to Disneyland and you overhear them talking about going to Disneyland, and you, in your little mind, you're like, oh, we're going to Disneyland tomorrow, Saturday. So like we're going to Disneyland, and you go up to your room and you pack your bag and you get everything ready and you're so excited. And in the morning you wake up and you've got your bag and you go downstairs and your Mickey ears and you're like, when are we getting in the car? Where are we going to, when are we going to Disneyland? And your parents are like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I heard you saying we're going to Disneyland today. And they're like, oh, no, you heard us talking about how we should take you guys to Disneyland in the next couple of years. Like, we live in Idaho. Like, we're not going to Disneyland today. But for the person that has this type of emotional authority, it's like the whole ground gets pulled out from underneath you and you're dropped into the bottom of your wave instead of having this like slow progression down. So for that one, it's better, like I said, to stay in the space of wonder and always like, open possibilities and never like latching on to an idea that you're hearing. And then the third wave is what I call the tick, tick, boom wave. This wave, whatever your not self is, will tick up. So if you're a generator, you'll tick up with things that are frustrating you. It's easiest to see this in a toddler. A toddler is, let's say they're trying to put their Legos together and they're a generator toddler and they're just not being able to get the pieces on right. So like struggle, get one on, get frustrated, try again. It's still not working. Now it's all falling over and they might tick up a few times before they will literally explode their energy. And it looks like a tantrum. And this also looks like this in adults that have this wave as well. Like they just literally explode their energy and then they feel better. But they leave a lot of chaos around them because those who then have to sit in that explosion of energy while it's out of their body and they feel better. Now they've left a lot of chaos around them. So this can be really challenging in inner like play dynamics between individuals, whether like it's a parent that explodes their energy, a child that explodes their energy, a partner. And so to keep in mind too, that having emotional authority is very different, just like being a 6 is very different than the other numbers. If you have somebody in your life that has emotional authority, they experience emotions from within themselves. And all of the rest of you who do not have emotional authority, you are what's considered non-emotional beings. And it's not that you don't have emotions. It means that you are feeling the emotions from outside of you. So you might be like, I'm having a perfectly fine time. Everything is great and dandy in life. And then something comes in from outside of you. Boom. Now you have to feel through the emotions. So if you're somebody like me who does not have emotional authority, but has a child that has emotional authority, this is really hard because it's already hard being a parent. But when you have somebody who's exploding chaotic energy around you, who's also like a toddler, who's gonna do these things, you're constantly having to learn to be a hollow bamboo stick, to let the emotions just flow through you. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to yell in a pillow, go yell in a pillow. And it's also hard because you could be really solid that day, and then somebody who has emotional authority, puts out their emotions in the world, and now you have to process them through your body. So this is really important for all humans to understand this difference between the emotionals and the non-emotional beings. And for those of you that have emotional authority, to take radical responsibility of your emotions. And that's like, I mean, we all need to take responsibility of our emotions, but because those of you with emotional authority hold this power over the rest of us with what you powerfully move your emotions around the world and then leave these wakes around you, it makes your life so much easier if you're aware of maybe there's some cleaning up to do of your emotions after you've experienced them. So you're not just, oh, I feel better, but now all of your beautiful people around you are sitting in those emotions and they don't feel better. So just having that awareness is really, really powerful.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jessica's family, two of her kids have emotional solar plexus, and Sammer does as well. So I don't know that combination of adding the solar plexus in with their inner authority.
The solar plexus is
It says emotional solar plexus though. Is it a combo of the two?
No, it's the same thing.
Okay.
The solar plexus in human design is called the emotional solar plexus center.
Oh, okay.
So it's all the same thing. He's just using more traditional human design language there of like the whole thing. So it's this the solar plexus center that's defined, and if it's defined, then you have emotional authority. And if it's undefined, you do not have emotional authority. So you sit on the side of being a non-emotional. And if you have that center open or undefined, meaning you do not have emotional authority, you are an empath in this true sense of the word empath, in that instead of putting energy out, of emotional energy out into the world, you're pulling it in like a pull filter and reading it from other people. That's what makes it hard to be around the big emotions that people go through, because we don't know this. We think it's us. So then we can think we're going crazy. Like, why am I always feeling what you're feeling? Like, I was fine and you're feeling upset and now I'm super upset. And then you're fine on the other side of feeling upset, but I'm still freaking upset and I have to process this. But if we know the tools to clear the energy there from that center, it's like life-changing then, because then we realize like, no, you're not crazy. You are just literally feeling everything from outside of yourself. And you just need tools, practical tools, to either put a shield around that space, to ground yourself, to clear that energy and get it out, because it's inevitable that it will get in there. And it's also making you be able to powerfully support people through feeling what they're feeling. So in this way that, like, people who have emotional authority are like beautiful, creative artists. They create things that those of us who don't have emotional authority never could touch, because they're here to touch the depths of the human experience through the highs of highs, the lows of lows. And so it's beautiful to have emotional authority. It's only hard because we did not grow up knowing these things. So all of us, we like feel bad for who we are, and then we don't know how we're supposed to be interacting with each other. So that's why like human design is just so amazing, because now you're seen, but also now we can have tools to see each other and to understand. And like Anj said, if you have emotional authority, give yourself 3 to 5 days to really move through and allow yourself to move through the emotions. Or even if you have like a smaller setting, because sometimes you don't have 3 to 5 days to do things. But like, for example, if you're at the grocery store and you have emotional authority. You're going to shop differently than somebody who has a different type of authority. So you might find yourself moseying a bit more and putting a bunch of things in the cart. And then as you're walking, you're like, oh my God, I don't need another pair of slippers. And you keep walking like, oh, you know, I told so-and-so that I was just going to pick up dinner. So like, I'll put these snacks away. And if you give yourself that time while you're shopping, you can move through your emotional wave instead of leaving with a bunch of stuff that when you get home and now you're landed in your neutrality, you're like, what the fuck? Why did I buy all these things? And now I have to go return them or feel bad because I'm not going to return them. So give yourself like this leisurely time when you're doing something so that you can feel through your emotions and make more aligned decisions for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, Robyn held beautiful space for me today. I had a very emotional morning, and she knows that I'm emotional, right? And so she, for her own awareness in our friendship, it's beautiful because she can be like, oh, okay, let me use my tools. This isn't my stuff. I don't need to take on what Anja's feeling. She just needs space held. And then I texted after and I was like, I feel better already. Just had to ride it, you know? So, yeah, I think it's every layer of this can be so supportive when you know different people's designs. And Sarah had said she feels it in her gut for sure. That's sacral. And Lily has sacral authority. It's just like a yes, no in your gut. It lands. And without all that emotional part.
I'm just gonna come on because Anj and I were talking a little in our own little message here. But Robyn, do you know, because on all of my kids' charts, like I went to the same source for everybody, and everybody has like in their inner authority, you know, the like creative, and then it says in parentheses emotional solar plexus. Everybody has like a little spot, but for mine, for some reason, my word on my inner authority is orchestrated and self-projected, and that's what the wording.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're looking at something of Karen Curry Parker's, or somebody who learned from Karen Curry Parker and uses this different language of human design. So I have her book open in front of me right now. And I'm just seeing where she has this written of what she's calling the authority types. So let's see here.
I'm going to grab, I have her book too, but I don't remember seeing that.
So if yours is the orchestrated authority, she's calling this self-authority. She calls creative authority is emotional authority. Actualizing authority is splenic authority. Resource is ego authority. And she's just saying there's 4 basic types. This is actually very misleading because there are more than just these 4 types. So I think it would be very powerful for you to put yourself in a more source-based calculator and see what that says, just because if she's only using these 4, you could be like missing all the other types of authority and the nuances that are out there. Mm-hmm. But from what she has here, if you're self-authority, so this can be like but you're a generator, right?
No, she's a projector.
Oh, you're a projector. Okay. So if you're a projector and you have self-projected authority, this is actually what my husband has. So your authority is about hearing yourself process something. And it's not about sharing this out loud so that other people can give you their opinions and like tell you what they think. It's so you can process and feel your unique way of feeling aligned in your body when it's like a yes or a no for you. So for example, like my husband, he will talk things out loud, and he absolutely does not want you to guide him. He's a projector as well. Like he just like is saying it because he's processing, and as he's hearing himself, he's getting that knowing that he needed to get to say, oh, okay. So what we do now is this can only work if you're saying this stuff out loud to somebody who can hold neutrality, who can ask expansive questions to help you keep going. But it's not about me telling you what I think. It's not about me guiding you or giving you advice. It's just about holding that space for those that have this self-projected authority. So if you don't have somebody, like, let's just say you do this with your partner and they're just constantly trying to like tell you what to do, and it just pisses you off. It's like, that's not actually what's happening here. I'm just kind of trying to vent this out. If you can't find that neutral partner, then utilizing something like a voice memo to yourself, even though you may not even ever listen to it, is super powerful. It's like brain dumping, but out loud.
I have about like 70 voice memos saved on my phone. I got a new car, and even my car will save voice memos.
I love that. That is
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, friends. Well, we did it. Another day of human designing, and we will keep doing it. So as long as it lights our sacrals up. So thank you for joining and for asking all your questions, for sharing your designs, and just for being curious and leaning into this. Really
Thank
excited.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. The next one is on the 22nd.
Is that it's every Tuesday.
Oh, it is every Tuesday.
We switched it now. We're doing every Tuesday human design, Monday, Thursday are Healy calls, Wednesday and Friday are magic portal calls. Just like on your own stuff, be in community.
Cool. Okay, good.
said a more source-based human design plugin. So the ones that I was using was, I guess, Quantum Human Design. I did humandesign.com. Like, I typed in 3 different ones to look. I don't know how to say it.
Jovial, the Jovian one, that's Ra's old website. So that's the one I would use to get your information from, and it will have regular human design language.
Okay.
Especially for like Angela and I's conversation, we were both using the old-fashioned human design kind of language when we're doing these calls.
So that's the one.
Yeah, I would use Jovian Archive.
I will do that. Yeah. Thank
What's
you.
up? Yeah, you're welcome. Samar, what's up, buddy?
Can you please repeat the schedule?
Every
So-
Tuesday, human design.
Okay.
Wednesday, Friday is magic portal. Just come and do work on your own thing and we'll have the Zoom open.
Wednesday, Friday. Okay.
And then Monday and Thursday, Robyn and I are hosting calls for Healy conversation. So Monday is if you have questions and you just are curious, maybe you don't have a Healy yet, you can lean into the space and ask questions. And then Thursday, we will be teaching something that lights us up about human design, Healy. So whether we're going to talk about the MAG Healy or whether we're going to talk about a group of programs, we will do some kind of teaching at that time.
And oh, go ahead, Summer.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm gonna be joining Healy calls soon because I managed to get a way to ship Healy from UK to Georgia.
Yay! I'm so excited.
I'll be joining you whenever I get it.
Okay, I'll send you my link and we'll go from there.
Sarah had asked a question really quick. I just want to answer about the hairs standing up on the back of your neck and if that's connected to an authority or not. I like to use this as challenge accepted moments to see like the lived experience of others, because this is definitely something that happens for me. And also something that I have discovered in the fascia world. So then another side of me that I'm really diving into heavily lately is learning about our fascia system and this very new evidence and information that has come out about our fascia system that is not at all what we were taught in school or even people are being taught in medical school. Our fascia system, we now know to be our largest sense organ in our body. And it is where we are processing through all of the information that comes from outside of us, that flows within us. It's got so many more nerve endings than your nervous system and your brain and everything combined. So the hairs on the back of our neck standing up is part of that communication pathway of giving us information, sensing into that quantum field that's outside of us. But I'm also curious to know if this is something that like people with emotional authority experience. Is it just generators that experience this? Is it all of us experiencing this as a sixth sense, or do some of us experience this more strongly than others? Or, you know, a lot of times people get full body chills. And for me, that's a different response than like my sacral response, but it is a response like a, like on a soul level, my soul is resonating with what you just said to be so deeply true. The hair standing up on my back of the neck is more of like a warning thing to me of impending something's coming that I need to prepare for. It's not like a fuck yes thing. So for me, it's not connected to my sacral, but to those six senses that we can develop. So I'm just like, makes me really curious to be like, ooh, like we could play with this and see what everybody else experiences if they are experiencing that hair standing up on the back of their neck feeling, or their arms or wherever they're feeling it.
Yeah, I was trying to see if, because that is something that my son totally does, right? I've always been like, listen to the hairs on the back of your neck. And because he one day he was like, Mom, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up after something. And I was like, you always listen to that. Always listen to that. And so, yeah, so I was just wondering if it might fall into any of those to kind of be able to pinpoint a little bit more where he might be landing.
Yeah.
Because in astrology, I think that his rising is Virgo with his personality versus Leo. So it's like one astrology chart said Leo, but most of them have said Virgo, and that's usually just like 12 p.m. because we don't know. So I was wondering if there's a way of pinpointing it a little bit more for the human design. I'm like, ooh, that's something that definitely resonates with him. So
yeah, I mean, it could. It's making me think that it's involved with the splenic center, because this is a very intuitive center. It is all about intuition and fear. And when I put him in, like, while his chart varies, like he goes from being a projector at 12 a.m. to a manifesting generator at, where's this a manifesting generator at 12 p.m. So there's a big variation there, but in both times he has a defined spleen center, and I have a defined spleen center. And do you have a defined spleen center? I don't know if I have you in this system.
no, I'm sacral.
But do you have a defined spleen?
Oh, do I have a defined spleen? Where's
When
the
you're
spleen?
looking at your chart, it's the one on the left. It's the left triangle.
The left, if I'm looking at it on the left.
Yeah, the bottom left
I
triangle.
think it's defined.
This one.
Yeah, I think it's defined.
So yeah, this might, I mean, he's got this defined in both times, like the 12 a.m. and the 12 p.m. So it doesn't help us like narrow anything down there. But
Right.
this does help us say, well, I feel that, and I have a defined spleen center. So let's find some people who don't have defined spleen centers and
Right.
ask if they feel it and see. Because like I was saying earlier, if you are a generator type that has your sacral defined and your splenic center defined, you kind of oscillate between these two authorities. You're always going to feel that yes or no, but you will get big downloads. You will get ethereal information that guides you, or you're just like, I don't have, like, it's combined with the no feeling. The best example I can give of this is for my daughter, Luna. She has cerebral palsy, and the mainstream approach to cerebral palsy is pharmaceuticals, surgical interventions, and like keeping them in static holds like, so all these hard braces that make me feel all of that whole combination, the surgical, the pharmaceuticals, the braces, it makes me sick to my stomach. And I have this knowing of like, this is not right. And now I cannot, if I say this to the doctors and stuff, they're like, who are you to say that this isn't right? This is what we do for cerebral palsy. And I didn't know the logical information as to why this was a big fuck no for me until the world of fascia entered. And now, in understanding truly how our bodies work and what the fascia actually is the scientific information that I needed for that no to make sense to people outside of me. Because now I can prove with the science that a lot of people need that the static holds, the pharmaceuticals, the surgical interventions, they all damage the fascia. The fascia is intricate in all of us, but in somebody who has cerebral palsy, it's hurt, it's damaged. And all of those things hurt and damage the fascia further. And so had I been doing that, she would be in a worse situation than she is now if I had caved and put her in all her braces and given her the pharmaceuticals and let them cut her tendons off, and the insanity of how allopathic medicine practices.
Yeah.
But now, and this is like, she's going to be 6 in January. This is like almost 6 years of like, no. And I don't know why I'm telling you no, except it makes me sick to my stomach. And I just got this knowing no. So it's like this combination of the splenic center and the sacral center that has this play if you have both of those defined as a generator.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're saying manifesting generator or a projector? And
Is
and
what
is
the
that
sun
is
could
that
be
is it
at.
really like one or the other depending on that time? There's no in between of what it could be. It really kind of seems to flow.
I put him in as what
Because
day?
I can see,
His birthday is the 15th or the 14th?
yeah, the 15th, and I can
15th.
see both, which is kind of fascinating.
The 15th of 2005.
5,
Okay, it just keeps erasing.
3, 5.
2000.
He's 21. 2003. Sorry, 2003.
Okay.
Did I give you 5 or
I
3?
don't know. I'm just gonna check and make sure really quick.
2003.
You gave me 2005.
So that's when we got him. So 2003 was when he was born.
So 5/15/2003.
3, yeah.
Okay, let's see what happens when
Sorry, that changes
Oh,
everything.
it
I'm
does.
sorry, Sarah. Bye. She left.
Bye, everybody. Okay. So
Sorry, I
when
know y'all needed to get off. Don't feel like you have to do this right now.
oh, no, it's okay. I'm interested to
You were signing off, and I was like jumping in. 'Cause I'm like,
This one is a lot more stable. It does shift, but it's not have such variation. And still his spleen is defined.
okay.
But he has in this one, which I put him at 12 p.m. So noon.
Mhm.
He has emotional authority and is a generator type. So
Okay.
manifesting generator has the defined spleen and emotional authority and is a 6/2.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm going to play around with this a little bit and like change the times and just see if there is great variation as we go through the day. But this day is more stable in
Okay.
the shifts than the one from 2005 was.
Yeah. Which makes more sense.
Yeah.
Only
I'll let
problem when
you-
you have two birthdays. It's like,
yeah.
it's like the hug day and then the real birthday. So yeah.
I know it's really interesting. And there's like frustration here of not being able to access that. It's like not like you are in a space where it's like, oh well, just call Nebraska's vital records and find out. And even the time of the birth is not listed on every birth certificate. It's only states list the time of day. So, and it's intricate to knowing the details of the chart.
Yeah.
Even if we get it to be somewhere where we think it is, it's probably still not accurate because there will be gates that change, or when you get deep into human design, you'll see that like in gate 24, it is not expressed the same way in everyone. There are 6 lines within each gate that you have defined or you don't have defined. So just because, for example, Anj and I both have gate 24 defined, it doesn't mean that we express it in the same way. And so there's these variations, these nuances that could shift, but we could at least understand if this is correct and the day doesn't shift very much, we could at least understand his like energy type and the authority that he has, which would still be really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
he's definitely an empath and into it in many
Mhm.
ways. So even though he tries to kind of like put that to the side some, but you know, gotta be a guy. Gotta fit in. So we tried working on that one, but it's all right.
Just in case it like erases on me again, his birthday is May 15, 2003.
3, yeah.
And it's Mumbai.
Mumbai, India, Bombay, India, Mumbai. It's gone back.
Just in case it shifts on me again when
They
I
have
go
tried to decolonize and go back to their original names.
all right. Well, I'm excited to see if we can pinpoint anything for you.
Yeah,
and
that'd be
I
awesome.
will. I'll email you whatever I end up discovering.
Cool.
Send it to
Love
you.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank
Awesome.
you.
You're welcome. I hope you're muted, Anj.
I was just saying thank you, and I remembered before I got off, I wanted to find the woman, the Instagram that you shared, so I just opened that for
Oh,
my.
I sent it in the
Yeah,
chat.
you put it in the chat. I know I was gonna close it, and I was like, wait, I want to grab that first. So thank you for posting the Raudu.
And I'll
Oh,
share with you on some human design books that I like
Yes, please.
that are more source and don't do the weird language thing that Karen Curry Parker does, which is like, I hate if I'm sounding like I don't like her. I think that
No,
she's
you're not.
It's just that it really is like super confusing to just change the language of a whole system and be like, kind of like how Jessica was saying, like there's purpose for that language feeling gruff to you.
Yeah.
It's like if you feel a poke there, there's probably something there.
Right.
And so it shouldn't all be sunshine and flowers. And when she was telling us people's authority, and I was like, how does this even make sense? Like
I
what
didn't
she
understand
named
either.
them. I'm like, I don't understand. And I
Well, it sounds
can't,
like she's made it more complicated.
Yeah.
yeah, but I
The book
think
that you have though, because this book sounds like
no,
okay.
that
This book is
that Karen?
2013. It is her,
Yeah.
but this
It
one is
might be before she had
changed.
full, I got to download and I'm supposed to.
Yeah, because this
Little
is
off-putting
2013.
her. Yeah, she has a whole explanation where she feels like the voice came to her and told her to change it. And it's kind of egotistical, a little bit sounding. Who knows? I mean, who am I to say that the voice didn't tell her things like that? But Ra was given this information to channel this to children. Like children are the future. He put his classes together for like children. He would have parents come and it was like teaching the parents so they could teach their children, not focusing on the adults. So I feel like the voice was purposeful in how it came out because it guided him to work with the children. And if children can handle it, then like we just need to put our wounds to the side and see, we all see through the lens of our wounds. And so if something feels like pokey or triggering to you, it's a little red flag, like, hey, I got work here to do. It's not about the information coming in. It's about how you're receiving it. And through that lens of like, maybe Karen Curry Parker's like dad talked mean to her or gruff to her. And so she's got a lens where she sees like a powerful man speaking in that way to be off-putting or, whatever it is. So
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
interesting. I haven't found anything off-putting yet. but I mean, I know we haven't delved real deep either,
Yeah.
but
Well, I'm excited for you guys to like listen to Raw, like to
Me
hear his
too.
voice, to hear him flow, because he's does not beat around the bush. And I find it so refreshing and holding me to have somebody who is like, I'm flowing this information. I'm not shifting how I'm talking about it because your feelings might get hurt. Like you're here to decondition. You're here to expand yourself. I don't know. And it feels like home listening to him, to be connected. And I just like, I'm just a fan of source information. I just really love listening to people like Ram Dass and Ra who connect deeply with the quantum and then pour that information into humanity. Just
Oh,
to hear
yeah.
straight from
I've got to
them.
go. I'm so sorry. Love you
Yeah.
guys.
Bye,
Thank you
love
so
you.
much.
You're
Bye.
welcome. I gotta go too. I gotta write before the day takes all my energy. Bye,
Thank
Sarah.
Yeah,
you
I've got to
so
get to these
much.
kiddos.
How do I
Thanks
get
for
out?
joining,
Bye,
Summer and Sarah.
everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Leave.